Hello again, I'm Alister Benn and you're watching Expressive Photography. Now today I want to look at the differences and the benefits of shooting film versus digital. As you know, I've recently bought a Hasselblad 501cm in this rather beautiful blue, which was just a beautiful thing to have. I bought it with an 80mm prime and a 150 prime. I also had to buy a new Sekonic light meter, which is the most overpriced piece of gadgetry I think I've ever bought. And I used the camera a lot on the recent trip to Iceland with Thomas Heaton, Adam Gibbs and Thor. Now, I don't want to start pixel peeping and looking at the differences between, a drum scanned 6x6 piece of slide film or a piece of film versus my Nikon D850. What I want to look at is the reasons why I got back into shooting film. This isn't something I've done for nearly 20 years now. And there was a specific reason that I got back into film. Now, I don't shoot film all the time because there's a price consequence. A roll of 120 film, I think, is about £5.60, £5.80 here in the UK. The cost of developing is maybe £12, £14. And then each drum scan to get it professionally done is about £14 or £15 as well. So the cost per image is very, very high. And I think on the recent Iceland trip, I was in the sort of 310, 320 digital files in about 8 days of shooting versus I think I shot something like 30 or 32 exposures on film. So about 10% of the number with film than with digital. Now, what I want to do is look at the comparisons between film versus digital versus analog music versus digital music. Now, here on my iPhone, I have Spotify, as many of you I'm sure do, and on my computer I have Spotify, and I can stream this through the house hi-fi system, and I have access to something like 50 million songs with 40,000 new songs going on every day. I can access just about any piece of music that I would ever want, and in reasonably good quality. Now, I have a beautiful turntable in the living room, and sometimes I have a limited choice of vinyl, maybe a few hundred records, but there are pleasures in dropping the needle onto that surface, sitting back in a comfortable chair and absorbing the music. It's a listening experience. Almost never will I put on vinyl and do something else. I'll just sit and listen and appreciate. Unlike this, which is on a lot of the day, I do it when I'm processing. I listen to it in the car. I listen to it when we're cooking. I listen to it when we're wandering around the house. Music will be on as background music. And it has a very different relationship than dropping the needle onto a piece of vinyl. And when I shoot with film, it's a different relationship than when I'm shooting with my Nikon D850. If we look at these two images side by side, this is the same scene. The image on the left is with my Hasselblad. This is on Ektar 120 film, which has incredible dynamic range. And this has been drum scanned by my very good friend, Tim Parkin. And I love it. I really, really love it. I think it's a beautiful, I think the composition is great. I think this was shot with this is the 80mm, so that's about a 50mm equivalent. The one on the right is with the Nikon D850, and it's a very different composition. It doesn't feel the same, but the light was different. You can't compare it like for like. And if we, start pixel peeping, then, obviously we can see on the left-hand side here, we have a huge amount of detail in the slide, and we have a huge amount of detail in the Nikon D850 file. I'm not interested particularly in pixel peeping. I'm not particularly interested in trying to compare apples with oranges. They're different, they respond differently, and it's an entirely different process. Now, the reason I got back into film was this. The preview screen on the back of your camera changes your relationship with the moment. When I'm in the field, shooting with a digital camera, you can instantly review the distillation of the landscape into a composition, as it were. You're changing your engagement with the landscape into kind of a photograph. You're looking at almost, you're looking at the final composition, certainly. You're also looking at the impact of time or, some of the other decisions that you might make with that photograph. With film, you line it up through the ground glass, you're looking through the viewfinder. It's flipped, so you're looking at a reverse instantly of the scene. So you're not looking at what we see with the finished photograph. You're looking at a flip version of it, and that gives you a very different relationship with reality, first of all, and secondly, once you've clicked that shutter, you don't see that end result until some weeks later. I think by the time I got back from Iceland, had done all the other things that I needed to get caught up on at home, sent the film off down to England to get processed. There was a delay with that by the time it came back, and then getting the drum scans done by Tim. I think it was nearly 3.5 weeks, before these images turned up on my desktop computer. And obviously, that's a long time to wait to see a final photograph. But what I found is that it was just this, I had this joy all over again. The moment in the field with the Hasselblad was unpolluted, uncorrupted. It was just me engaging with the world and basically pressing the shutter to record a moment and then getting on with the rest of the evening. With the digital, you see there and then exactly what you have. And, you can get that sense of disappointment. You can start judging. You can start saying, well, it would be better if, you start going through this very long drawn out procrastination sometimes. Now, when I get all my film drum scanned and I get to see the final images, great. They're beautiful representations of those moments. And it's important to me to have purity in the field. Now, the problem with film for many people is if you don't get your focus right, if you don't get your exposure right, you don't know. You can come back from a trip and you have a bunch of underexposed film or overexposed film or unsharp film, and that's it. You've got no choice. With digital, one of the great benefits is that you have instant checking. And I think as a learning tool and a growth tool, being able to check exposure, being able to check focus, all of those things are massively powerful learning tools. And this isn't me trying to advocate everyone to sell their digital cameras and start shooting film. The raw files from the D850 have way more latitude. I can do more with them. I can't push the colors and luminosity and contrast and detail in the scans as much as I can a raw file. So technically, I suppose if I was under pressure to produce a product that I had to get perfectly in the field, I would shoot digital any day of the week. For purity of process and just being able to go out there and enjoy the moment, then that's why I got back into film. Secondly, I wanted to reconnect with the history of photography. I appreciate that I'm on a timeline. I was reading a book last night and it's talking about our mortality and life and death. And it basically says, how can we exist in a slice of time sandwiched by infinity of black, the infinity of darkness? And some might look on that as a very negative way of looking at life. But I look on it as a positive. I've got this slice of time that I can use while I'm on this world. Each photograph represents a slice of time where I have lived and engaged and been focused in on my craft and my own development and externalization of fears and anxieties and all of this stuff that I use landscape photography for. Plus being out in the field with a bunch of guys who I'm very, very fond of, and we had a really great time. Each photograph represents a slice of time. With film, the slice of time has an element of the unknown about it, in that there's total delayed gratification. With digital, there's instant gratification. And this, I think, is the big difference. With film, there's an antiquity to it that kind of implies the way life used to be. Whereas if you wanted something, you would save up for it over a number of months or years to buy it. Whereas now, credit is available for just about everything, and we just go and stick it on our credit cards, or we get loans and all of this type of thing. And digital, I think, is more synonymous with contemporary culture, where it's shoot it, get it out there fast, get the external validation, get it onto social media. If we're not talking about what we're doing in our lives, then we're not really living. If a photograph is taken and it's not on social media to be liked, was it really taken? It's the great philosophical question of 2020. So I'm going to leave this one here. We're not going to pixel peep. We're not going to discuss the virtues of film versus digital. I'm just explaining why I got back into shooting film. And it's really about personalizing my relationship with the landscape, getting away from this instant gratification that is so common in myself and society. If you want to experience that feeling of delayed gratification, turn the preview off on your digital camera and go home with an unknown card and leave it for a week. And then open up your files and have a look and see what you did. It's perfectly capable of doing it, it's just much harder. With the Hasselblad, I have no choice. With the digital, it would be a conscious decision to try and switch off from that. No Vision and Light coming this week, but the following week, which is going to be a week on Wednesday, I had a fabulous conversation with the amazing John Barclay. So I really look forward to bringing that episode to you. And apart from that, autumn's here, and Kristin and I are getting out in the landscape again. The foliage is starting to turn here on the west coast of Scotland. The wind is swung to the west and the storms and rain are rolling in, so it's a sure sign that summer is over. And we are really committed to delivering our weekly videos to you folks. And that should be about it. Maybe next week we're going to be looking at some photographs that Adam Gibbs and I have processed from members of the membership channel. So when you click that join button below, we had some images submitted by you guys, and we have processed two each, two from Adam's channel, two from my channel, and we're going to post all those videos on the members group, but we'll be discussing them here on the channel. Thank you very much for watching. Please give me a thumbs up if that's something that you would like to do, and we'll see you next weekend. Take care, everyone. Bye.